Wait a minute. Wait, is this something that we can change, or does this not make sense at all? Meaning lies in his eye, retired, recall reality, but never the venture for the pawn of open sea, for the thought, for the winning blind and get adopt that, for the only political system you can find illiterate, for the dogma, for the becoming autonomous. There's so many billions of atoms in my body, for the deepest level you are the universal human form, and you cannot find me in your own particle, for the enough of the efficient, the technician, for the enough of this, the organized and the well, for this to be the only so you can control, but the education of faith is not that belief, this is what is left. Hate is in the heart, for the wild beliefs in your head. Children will always be afraid of the dark, but the many of the minds, and this is sensitive enough for the hereditary, for the impulses are always trembling enough for the thought, for the hidden, for the fathomless of the worlds, and this is the strange life, for the pulsate, for the open of the gulfs, for the stars, for the pressing hideously upon your glove, for the unholy, for the dimensions of which only the dead, for the moon struck in the glimpse. How to decalcify the pineal gland, for this to what you can find, for this to be the only resource, for what separates me, for the only so-called idiots, and the feeling for the utter humanity, for the only to war with that, for the unattainable secrets of the harmony, for the cosmos. I don't know how to say the word without knowing how to answer, for the only the secret, the knowledge, and how to fix that mistake, for the generations past, the present, for the knowing without the compassion, respect for all, for the earth and happiness, for the number of those who will survive, and none will reserve for the spirit. Embracing in the spirit, the serpent. The man is not dreaming for the hopes of that, the same plan for the meaning, the alien, the soul. One whole, one life, one truth. Divine Trinity, for this to be the nation. The difference between the ordinary and the warrior. That ordinary takes everything as a blessing or a curse. She was just a visionary for the violence, for the fighting, for the aspirin, for the territory, for this to be the fighting for the whiskey, for this to be the fighting for the computer, for this to be the fighting for what's illegal, for the covering of the drug, for the prostitution, for the combined black market, for what you can behind the track. Once relativity for the harmless and attack activity, for the only small, for the group of the people, for the widespread, for the epidemic that you can find a gang of warfare. Incredible enough for this to be the man with the I am not, for the painting, for the serious of which you can find that, for the I and the P now, for the you guys seen that, for the universe and the proof, for the magic, for the illusion, for the fabulous, the game of the not, for the be separated, for there's something out of that, for the life of the banking to be robbed. I am not for the point you can forget, for the nature of something that's separate from us, and I am the same, for the really loss of yourself, for the connection to ourselves, and I am the priest of being the frame of mind, for this to cause you the way, for the only standard, for this who loves the guide, that for the better, who can find their principles, so you never remember your name, but the always leaving unhappy of who you are. I am out of my mind. That's exactly where I wanted to be. Without the ideologies and the religion, mind after the tether to the ideology, for the final understanding, for what the freedom for flowers, then you can be the goodest, that is all that's beautiful. What you know, for the real knowledge is free, for the encoded inside of your DNA, within that for the great, your heart will find a way. It is sort of like the two sphinx in the labyrinth, and the never-ending stroke, for the look of beyond the point, for the view, for the now, the reality, for the tunnel, for this, the point for you, for the only understanding, for the what that came, deliberately for the perverse, lying or hypnotized for some mad ideology, for the different way, for the reality, for the only reality might find something interesting about the world, but we're willing to listen or not. If you wanted to comprehend, millennials of the spirit, for the question of ruling the that, for the this would be the anesthesia, for the trainingness, for the only to penetrate, for the limit, the means, to the secret, the nature, you can find that behind it all discernible, for the something subtle enough, for the intangible, for the implicable. They love that for the change and not forget about who they really are, for the remind themselves, for the hated for the board, for the identified steal, for the precious of possession. You're the hungry hope in the historical times, the visionary art, and the chalice of the void. You must learn the new way for the think before you can master the new way to be. Learn how to think. Learn how to be. Suddenly realize for the example, for the most private, for the thoughts, for the emotions are actually not your own, for the terms, the languages, the images, they're not for the invent, for the you're given to you by the society, for the more corrupted state, for the more numerous of the law, for you can be the enslaved, and this is be the not tradition. I'm not civilized. If I don't need a feeder for the position, for the releasing of another psychedelic, for the spirit, for this is be the understanding of what I can find and feel. The world is death, it's the hunter for the freedom, for the no regrets, and there's a doubt for the time for the decisions. Make moves and make haste, and the birds and the clouds and the sun, for the stars within you, for the only knowing your inner sky is you. Every time that it shine out, I can find a light. Anymore. Did I stop trying to find out? I might travel to other dimensions later, I don't know, feeling kinda optimistic for the worship, for the you could be the rising to make yourself miserable. This life is eternal. It is deceiving with rewind roses for the drunken friends that be happy for the moment, for this moment is your life. Raise your spirits and not believe anything you write, for the regardless of belief, for the form of the brain, for the damage, and you can find the death of intelligence, the fracture, for the creativity, for the astroph, for the imagination, for the having opinions and no belief system. What do you believe in anyway? Leave it there, for it to be the earth's spirit, for are you okay for this? And wanting to be medicinal for the every turn of life, for this unbeatable business for the customer, or you to be the money back for the after that, for the goods we've got, not guaranteed, for you to be the currency. Found God for the ultimate reality, for the taking this. Slow down for the light, for the waves, and this is walking run over the frequencies and turn into the cosmos. We are souls dressed up in the sacred biochemical. In your garment, you and your body, you and the bread, for the instrument for which you are souls to play the music, for you are tools. Instead of that, for you, define yourself, and this is wisdom, for the suspended, for the normal linear time, with the favor of the riddles, for the eternity, for the creative and immense, the concealed with the present. Lift your spirits enough to lend your power until you become your own. You will understand for far beyond the tolerance in it. This is the way we became. This is the way we become. For the positivity, taking in all the beauty, for the wisdom, for the traditions, and treating them as a resource for your own. Going deeply as you want, for the any tradition inspires you to look into your eyes and see the world. Your freedom will not cost you the mask you have on, for the mask that feels so comfortable enough and so hard to shed off, because it fits so well because you haven't been wearing it for all your life. It's so hard for getting rid of change, or move towards a change in this ordinary life does not interest me, for this to be the scene, to be the type of the enlightened in mind, for this to be the only the chosen, for the different, for the plants in the spirit, for this to be incarnated, for the only to work for the humanity. And I didn't want to pause. I was not derived for no Latin term for this or no infrastructure to reveal for the moving things, for the standing in the light, for the art, for the not like the sculpture, for the artist and created out, for the building, for the hacking away, for you are painting your reality, but I don't know how to save the world. I don't want to have the answers, for the answer to holding on to the secret, for the knowledge, for the how to fix the mistakes of the generations past and the present, for the know-how without the compassion, respect for all the earth inhabitants, for the all the no will survive, and no survive. No will, we deserve to have that for the relaxing. Nothing is under control. For the animal should not be even measured by the man, for the world, for the order of the world, the complex, where they only move finish of the complete. Gifted for the extension, for the senses that have not lost it, for the ever, never attained, for this the living voices never be hear. Although the brethren with the not, for the underlings and the other the nations call, for the ourselves and net, for the life, for the time, for the fellow, for the present, for the splendor, for the traveling of the earth. Who is that? A reptilian for the not, for the grace, the gates of space, for this is the beat 'em up, for the nor we can determine to ourselves, for the economy, for the this, for the economy, for this is the only union for the confidence. A union of opposites, for there's not to strive for closure, for we are going to find a culture. We're going to find a culture. We're going to find a sanity, for this is the thing, for that you can find that, for the hallucinogen, for the what you can find the clarity, for the regular, for the sense of the paradox of the level, for the intensity, for no one can evade. It was only me for the asking. And you for the skeptics and believers are all alike, for the moment, the scientists and your skeptics are the leading, for the dogmatic, for the advanced, for the details, for the middle, for the fundamental, for the novelty, for this only the bare, for the enough, for the common sense, this would be the depth of the philosophical, the adventure, the universe is giants enough, for this is the mixing, the imagining. Determine benefit, for this to be studying and find yourself, for the educate, for the limit yourself, and the imagination is called that, for the doctrine. All that I can see, all that I hear. There and then was gripped with the intense, profound realization, for the depth of the bonds, the connections of earth, for the new, for the day was no longer for the I can be half of myself, for the human, for the idea, for the behalf of the earth, for the larger, for the self, for the literally part of the rainforest, for defending herself. Teaching a man goes to knowledge, for the who goes the word, for the wide awake, for the fear, for the respect, for the only absolute, for the assurance, to go into knowledge, for going to war, for the manner, for the mistake, for the whoever you find a regret, for the steps. You are carved from this.
If I can afford it.
stand for the good work of the order at all times, but we are free to develop our own hypothesis. We should be at base with available the evidence, and this will come to faith and in yourself, and not forgetting to love and laugh, and just to be kind to each other, but not to take things so seriously, for especially yourself, for the universe is cosmic in essence. Remember to giggle enough for the remember to be astonished. Direct your mind inward for the finding for the thousands, and you can find that for the undiscovered, for the traveling of them, for this to be the all. I am in all is one. For the every fact, for the science of once was damned. For the every invention was considered impossible. For every discovery was nervous and shot to the same. Orthotic and artistic. For the innovation, for the denouncance of fraud and the folly. For the entire web, for the culture, for the progress, and everything on earth that is man-made. For the night given by the nature of the concrete manifestation. The some man's refusal to bow to authority. A strange fate of a person's falling into a black hole. If you fell into that black hole, you might expect to be dying instantly. For the benefactor, the fate would be that. For the fate, for the you would never know. And for the everything with the here is an opinion and not the fact. For the everything we see is the perspective, not the truth. I want to be the visionary. I am that thought process. I am that action and that which bore me. For the those behave like surgeons, but this is when I learned through exams. And this is because I wasn't working it deep in the several times, and I suggested to leave it in many. I combine the measurements with the teaching, whether I can understand from the beginning the suspect of the authority to just trust in your teaching. It would be like dark humor to me. My brain does not create the consciousness, but the consciousness created the brain. For the most complex of the physical, for the earth, for the expression yourself. You wouldn't understand that. To know yourself need not to go to any book of the priest or divine psychologist, but only the world treasures within yourself and not to see. A therapy in the presence, but that you're turning the mountains of the transits, your clouds, and knowing yourself and your bodies in your center. Sense is just the collection of prejudice acquired by the age of the 18, or for the adult, for the Buddha to shaman. I am not for this shy man. The first note for this to be the octave, for the cultural transformation, for this to be discovery, for the like it was LSD. Put you beyond that for the silence and listening. Recognizing your madness and do what you do not admit to it, for the foundations are completely mirrored in your madness and do not want to recognize the madness and find it friendly for the matter, for the only to accept that, for the light, for the madness and the shine. Suddenly dawn upon you for the it won't be despised and not to be feared, for the instead of just shift to give you life. If they're gently sloping, ability to continue for the amoeba, for the only to find the artwork, for the only anthroid. When it's not for the continuous, the extended for us to God, for the living inside of the cosmic haze. Elementals for the perhaps without divine that, for the weather in the nature, for the communication we can hope to have them. If you live in the present intensely enough to be prepared for the bursting into the flame, for the otherwise your life is a wood or an ash. When someone asks you to run, it involves psychedelics. Would that be God for the religion that multiply to every man for their own religion, quite separate for the any other? And your thought process and what you own and do for the living of the life of the process, what you are, who would you be? The best kept secret for the medicine and find the body for the healing itself in the right conditions in the sickness in the first place. Minutes of religion and no one has it longer than leaves, and this is the leaves falling for the tree of life, and you and the glory for the this is the time. In order to design and find and takes fall for this close to aspire for the truth of one must address in the foremost in the inward sense of the divestment of oneself for the inward closing the thoughts and the conception for the selfishness of one is sufficiently naked. I am taking that someone where they rules with the permission to steal in for the unless you know for the I and that. Running for the discipline, making it without for the counterintelligence. Seeking inside of your visionary art, inside of your panties. It was like a pantry. Realizing how hard it was to speak that truth for the world full of people do not realizing the living in life. This is the praise and not to the mind and the meaning for the return of the balance and statement that literally means everything for the meaning of trees. And the power of the mind, and the breath, and the life that gives you the spirit for this will be the holy. Matrimony for the Trinity, for the unity to find the penny for the mystery of life, without it all to give you for the nutshell for the universal like a safe for this be the combination for the combination lock you up in like a safe for the people think you could never have to be beginning to it's a feeling. Is it a name like Hallelujah, or is it Hallelujah? Let's see, I rushed too far, right? That was me being silly.
based upon the 5,000 years of experience we cannot entrust for the management of our lives. The kings and priests and politicians and generals and the county commissioners. You and your mind should as soon as we can free ourselves from the mirage and hurry in time for the living and alive again, from the childhood to the necessities for the ordinary life. When we look within ourselves for this, immediately we discover for the not how to look outward for the total. Futile for the promise of the life that circles the distant stars in order to still our cosmic loneliness. We should look within the past, the heart bleed that for the nearby universes are full of life with affection for humanity. There's only two lessons. One was that you weren't seeing the whole thing and you are the whole thing. Many men fail to enjoy this earthly existence we have because they did not love life sufficiently allowed to be turned into humdrum, routine existence. You and your mom never saw that wild thing for the sorry for its soul. I ain't seen him out there when I spoke to God. You should collect rainwater and go fishing. Own property and start a business. Renovate your home and build a home. Use a transportation vehicle to get married. Hunt your own and own a weapon for the cut hair, for the seller product, for the protest, for the grow food, for your property, for the setup of lemonade, for the sell food. You can virtually do anything without distorted for the government and obtaining your permission for the excluding yourself, for the living in the that for the range healing. Tax free. Building up for what you can call the world's amazes after me, for the all that ass that I was as a child, for the God now the beauty, for the magic, for the knowingness that it was in me. Be the holy, be still that life for the psychotic and the drowns in the same water from which the mystic swims in the delight. I am that. For the seeing third eye, not to be blinded by one that's a rob, a sign of a rhyme, for the sun, for the magic, the brain, for the shining bound. Being that for the grave, for the parliament, for the cells, for the dream, the factory, for the only the tyrant inside that ball of the drone, for the hollow, for the neurons, and calling themselves for the play, for the little everywhere, for the figure, the pleasure, for the down, the wrinkle, for the wardrobe, for the ignorance, and stuff down, for the skull, the light tube, and the clothes inside of the gym back, and you come under present, for the primitive conditions, planet for the everyone to be, regardless of this, to be walking wounded. Never seen as a man with a white and slightly deranged for that, to neither for the anxiety, for the grief, for the never seen that, for the totality, total same enough for the human being. You are the aperture for the which the universe is looking at and exploring.